So, Top Gun Maverick is a new movie directed by Joseph Kosinski, and it stars Tom Cruise, Miles Teller, Glenn Powell, John Hamm, Jennifer Connelly, and it's a sequel to Top Gun, and it's about Pete Maverick, played by Tom Cruise, who's returning to Top Gun to teach a bunch of the new recruits basically a new mission to take out bad guys and fighter jets and all that, and there may be an emotional connection because one of the recruits in the movie has a past with Tom Cruise's character, and this is 3 weeks after the movie came out, so you gotta know what's going on. So I'm gonna be honest, I was not looking forward to this movie at all, really. I am not a big fan of the original Top Gun. I think it's a little dated in my opinion. The characters are okay for the most part, but I just find the story to be incredibly cliche. So when the new movie was announced, it's been in development hell for years. They've been trying to get this movie made for a long time. I just was not excited for this movie. I wasn't excited when it was supposed to come out in 2020. I wasn't excited when it was supposed to come out in 2021. And I wasn't excited when it finally came out in 2022. So I decided to see it to, at least give it a chance. Tom Cruise, I think he's been doing really well with a lot of his movies recently with Mission Impossible. It seemed like they were kind of going to do like what Mission Impossible was doing, kind of like up the ante a bit. And I am so glad that I didn't listen to myself because I actually enjoyed Top Gun Maverick. I'm actually really surprised that I enjoyed this movie. And I enjoyed it so much, actually. I actually already saw it twice. I saw it opening weekend in IMAX, which was incredible. And I saw it again like about 2 weeks later. And I enjoyed it a lot more the second time, mainly because I wasn't trying to pay as much attention to the technical aspects the second time, and I kind of enjoyed it a little bit more. So, what works about this movie? Well, most of the performances are pretty good. Like, Tom Cruise, he gives a better performance than this movie really calls for. I thought he was better here than he was in the original Top Gun. Miles Teller is also really good playing the main recruit of the new series, this new movie. I thought he was really good. Miles Teller's been gone for a while. What has he been up to? Glenn Powell, he's also really good as this other kind of like smarmy candidate for this job. John Hamm, again, a lot of performances are really good. Lewis Pullman, he's another candidate. Jennifer Connelly is okay in this movie. I thought she was kind of wasted, to be honest, but I'll get to that later. And Val Kilmer, I thought he was really good in this movie, too. For his brief moments, I thought he was really good, even though he didn't actually speak in the movie. His performance was really good, and that was actually a nice, heartwarming scene that he was in. And the bond between the characters, I did like. I don't know if I like it as much as the original Top Gun, but I felt like it was a little more realistic in this movie, to be honest. Also, a lot of the aerial scenes in this movie are just astonishing. In IMAX, these scenes were just incredible to see. It took... One of the reasons why it was delayed is because they tried to get the techniques right, about the technical aspects of these scenes right. And I'm glad they delayed it for that reason, too, because that was also really well done. And occasionally this movie is funny, but it also manages to blend the drama of the situations pretty well. The relationship between Cruise and Teller, that's really well handled. And the pacing for the movie, too, is also decent because the movie is a little over 2 hours, and I think it's paced nicely, surprisingly. A movie like this could drag on, and surprisingly, it's paced nicely. The music, for the most part, is really good as well. Hans Zimmer, I think he did the music. And also, Lady Gaga's song is actually not bad in this movie. I thought her song was actually really good. As far as, like, I was also kind of concerned that this movie was just going to be a rehash of the original Top Gun. Because they had, they had the volleyball scene, and they also have, like, all these movies that are coming out that are just rehashing the original movie. And thankfully, the movie is not just a simple rehash. It actually tries to be a little more, not necessarily more grown up, I would say more mature, kind of more understanding. I actually kind of enjoyed that about this movie, too. It's not just, aerial fights and, all that. So, what didn't I like about this movie? Well, there are a couple things I just didn't like. Some moments are kind of rehashed. The opening shot is basically just a rehash of the first movie. Like, the first shot of that movie. Like, the first sequence of that movie where it's like, you see the plane go off. It's basically the same thing. They even basically have the same title card at the beginning of the movie. Which, in this new one, admittedly, they did change it from, the best men in the service to the best men and women in the service. So that was nice as well. Also, the movie could have used a little more diversity, I'm going to be honest. You're telling me that with all these 12 candidates who are competing for this job, for this mission and such, you're telling me there's only one woman who is good enough for this to be considered? It didn't really make that much sense. And you also have you have the actor from The Good Place. He played Jason on The Good Place. He appears in one scene and he doesn't say anything. He's actually really funny on the show. Like, why didn't this movie use him at any point? I don't know. Like, it was like a blink and you miss it. And then when I saw it the second time, I saw him and I'm like, oh, there he is. Why didn't they use him? He's actually a really good actor. He can actually be really funny. Like, why isn't he in this movie more? I don't know. So, I don't know. It's just mostly nitpicks I have with this movie. And it's such a good time for the most part. And if you're like me, who wasn't really a big fan of Top Gun, the original Top Gun, this movie is a lot more fun. It's a lot more, like, the visuals are well done. The acting's pretty good. It's entertaining, but it does tend to pull at the heartstrings, surprisingly. I did not expect that from this movie. A sequel to a movie that I never really cared for. To be honest, like, I was thinking about my favorite movies from Tom Cruise, and the original Top Gun did not make it there. I don't know if this will make my top 10 for Tom Cruise movies, but it was definitely a lot of fun. I mean, I've already seen it again. So, overall, Top Gun has a lot of great performances. The aerial scenes are awesome. The action's awesome. Even though most of my problems are just nitpicks, like, some of the acting is just kind of okay, and feel like some of the actors don't get much to do. And also, there's not enough diversity. Also, Jennifer Connelly is admittedly just a throwaway love interest. It's fun. It's like one of those movies that you don't have to turn your brain on for. And if you turn your brain on, you'll probably hate this movie. But if you just turn it off, it's fun. I'll give Top Gun Maverick 3 out of 4 stars. See it. So, what's the biggest surprise of 2022 for you? Comment down below, subscribe to the channel. This is Pat. Stay safe.